Good evening. I haven't done a video in a while. I don't have an excuse. I have a sick mother I take care of. I have a girlfriend. I'm raising her son. I don't got a lot of time or energy. And I really didn't want to make a video unless I had something to really say. And I got a lot to say now. So I'll cut to the chase. Back in October, I was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Now, you may have heard the term sociopath, psychopath, and those are very strongly related concepts, but they're not exactly the same as antisocial personality disorder. Sociopathy is what you would call a clinically imprecise way to describe somebody with this personality disorder. It essentially means someone exhibits antisocial behavior, and the ideological reason for it is environmental trauma, grooming, neglect, etc., etc. And psychopathy refers to a more specific, severe form of antisocial personality disorder, which involves emotional deficits, most notably lack of empathy, callousness, just very low arousal in general, emotionally. It gets really complicated, but clinically, the diagnosis is antisocial personality disorder for essentially both those presentations. That's what I was diagnosed with. Now, I've been in and out of therapy, more or less for the last decade, 2014, 2015. And I've dealt with severe major depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I knew I had PTSD. I knew I had borderline personality disorder. I made peace with that. I reconciled with those. I could have compassion for myself about those, because those, just like antisocial personality disorder, are a result of severe trauma and pain and suffering, repeatedly prolonged. But unlike antisocial personality disorder, other people are more inclined to have sympathy for those, because that person that has post-traumatic stress disorder, even complex PTSD or BPD, they're hurting. But someone with antisocial personality disorder has a predisposition to be harmful to not just themselves, but others, And just to give a quick explanation about what exactly antisocial personality disorder is, I like to conceptualize it and give an analogy that it's not being a criminal, but it's having a personality that predisposes you to be a criminal. You don't actually have to commit crimes, but just think about certain qualities that criminals have. Most obviously, they commit crimes, but more generally, they break rules. Not just crimes, not just workplace rules, but morals, like principles that we believe are conducive to following if we're going to live in a productive, civilized society. Don't lie, don't manipulate, don't steal, don't kill, don't use others, love others. A person with this personality is antisocial, against others, against society. So they don't feel beholden to those rules. And, again, like you would see in somebody who is a criminal, they're aggressive. Well, I'm saying we're aggressive. We're irritable, impulsive. Again, we break rules. We're, dishonest. We don't really have a lot of empathy and compassion for others. And, most notably, most chillingly, there's a lack of remorse. Because there's no way that you could do all those things if you did have remorse. You couldn't steal from a person knowing that you were hurting them financially. You couldn't lie to a person knowing that you were steering them the wrong way. You couldn't be violent towards somebody. And, this is essentially a lifelong pattern. It's heavily ingrained. It's your personality. You could learn to, reduce harm. You could learn to, have a better reign over your impulses. You could learn to have cognitive empathy, develop your cognitive empathy. But what they call affective empathy, the empathy that, we think about when we think empathy, feeling other people's feelings, being in the moment with them emotionally, that's not very present, It's not that I can't understand. Like, yes, I could understand how you feel, but I'm just not going to feel it with you. And a lot of times I'm not even going to consider the mere idea that you have feelings. It might not even occur to me. And it might occur to me, and if I want something badly enough, or maybe not even that badly, it's just an impulse. I'm going to do something that might hurt your feelings and, not think about it, not feel bad about it. And it's a destructive pattern. Now, contrary to popular belief, people with antisocial personality disorder, sociopaths, psychopaths, whatever you want to call them, they can't form attachments. But they're likely to not be very functional and stable. I have a few people in life who I love dearly, who mean everything to me, who I go as far as to say are a part of me. My mother, my sisters, my girlfriend, my girlfriend's son. But what can cause a strain is, as much as I care for them and their well-being, I just can't really perceive their internal worlds. I can't, it's hard for me to even recognize that they have an internal world like mine. So it causes a lot of friction. And add the fact that I'm quick tempered, irritable, grumpy, impulsive. It's hard enough to not have friction with those close to me, but outside of those individuals, I don't really give a fuck. It sounds bad, but I was talking to my mother about it one day. I said, I care about like 5 people in the world. Everyone else is just, sometimes it's like they don't even exist to me, you know? Like, sometimes it feels like I'm the main character in a video game. Everyone's an NPC, and I'm just trying to pass a level or choose the right dialogue to, you know, get them to act and react the way that will most benefit me, you know? And I just, it just seems so, bizarre, jarring that all my life I didn't recognize this pattern. The things that I did in adolescence, the things that I did as a young adult, things that affected people. Always, if there was consequences, I could have regret, but that's because the consequences had hurt me. It was almost never the case that I would actually consider the, how it affected the other people involved. Like, it didn't even cross my mind. And even for me, it's hard to wrap my brain around. Like, I thought I was having a full human experience, a shitty one, filled with, pain and memories of a very just awful childhood. I'm not going to mince words. Traumatic, abusive, stressful, just broken, fucked up childhood and family dynamic. And, things that a child shouldn't witness, things a child shouldn't experience. Everything. They all happen to me, and they put me in opposition to other people. A lack of trust, a lack of attachment, unwillingness to go along with what other people do and think and believe to be the right way to do things. It just felt right to do things my way. And, for anyone else out there with this diagnosis, and it's a spectrum. Some cases are more severe than others. I've never been arrested, luckily. But there is hope. You'll see that sentiment that these individuals like me can't be helped, won't change, don't have insight. They won't even care to look into this about themselves, and none of it's true across the board. Now, if someone has a person in their life that has a disorder like this or similar, you might want to advise them to get away from that person if that person's not actively trying to, bring themselves to heal, because, you know, again, we could damage others and not even consider what we've done. But it can be treated. It can be helped. You know, don't listen to everything you read on, you know, a Google search or see on TikTok and on social media. Almost all of it's bullshit. Almost all of it lacks nuance. Almost all of it lacks validated, research-based, empirical truth. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've been a noble, altruistic, pro-social person for most of my life. I have in certain moments, but, you know, some people love me. They think the world of me. They wouldn't even imagine that what goes on inside my head is, you know, what it really is. But there's a lot out there like me. I'm not really an exception. If you read Hervey Cleckley's Mask of Sanity, if you read Dr. Robert Hare's Without Conscience, you'll see that individuals like me are able to blend into society quite easily sometimes, at least for a period or a season. And they're in all walks of life, in all fields: surgeons, soldiers, politicians, lawyers, police officers, nurses, social workers, everywhere. It's just we're wired different, and we could do things and endure things that most can't, because we've dealt with things and endured things that were horrific before our brains were even close to fully formed. You know, that's what causes this very adverse environment. But anyway, man, I might do another video about this. You know, one that's more formal, organized, but I don't know. Again, I thought about if I benefit from this, and I could, you know, come to the conclusion that I don't have anything to lose, and I could possibly get some catharsis about this. So yeah, that's what it is, man. I'll probably make some more videos about this, depending on if people fuck with it. But shit, man, if you got any questions, ask them. I could address them in the next video. I got no reason to be dishonest about this shit. So ask whatever. I mean, as long as it makes sense. Don't ask me about crimes I committed. I have common sense, but, you know, other than that, ask whatever, bro. Like, comment, obviously, subscribe, because yeah, there'll be more of this coming. I got a lot to say about this, so yeah, bro, this is yours. I'm punching out. Peace.